Close your eyes for just a second and notice what's happening in your mind right now. Maybe there's a thought about later today, maybe a memory, maybe a worry you didn't invite. Most of us live like this all the time, minds jumping non-stop, and we rarely stop to ask what this constant mental noise is doing to our brain. Today, we're talking about how mindfulness actually affects your brain, not in a vague, feel-good way, but in a real, measurable, brain-changing way. For a long time, people thought the brain was basically fixed once you reached adulthood. Whatever wiring you had, that was it. But neuroscience completely flipped that idea on its head. Your brain is constantly changing, reshaping itself based on what you pay attention to, what you practice, and what you repeat. And mindfulness, surprisingly simple as it sounds, is one of the most powerful ways to influence that process. Mindfulness isn't about emptying your mind or becoming some perfectly calm person who never gets stressed. It's about awareness, paying attention to what's happening in the present moment without immediately reacting or judging it. And when you do that consistently, your brain starts to respond in ways that scientists can actually see on brain scans. One of the first areas affected is the amygdala. This is the part of your brain responsible for fear, stress, and emotional reactions. When you're anxious, overwhelmed, or constantly on edge, the amygdala is working overtime. Studies show that regular mindfulness practice can actually reduce activity in the amygdala. In other words, your brain becomes less reactive to stress. The things that used to instantly trigger panic or frustration start to lose their grip. At the same time, mindfulness strengthens the prefrontal cortex, the area right behind your forehead that's responsible for decision-making, focus, and emotional regulation. This is the part of your brain that helps you pause instead of snapping, think instead of reacting, and choose how to respond rather than running on autopilot. As this area becomes more active and more connected, you gain more control over your thoughts and emotions. What's fascinating is that this isn't just theory. Brain imaging studies show thicker gray matter in people who practice mindfulness regularly, especially in areas related to attention, learning, and memory. Thicker gray matter means stronger neural connections. You're not just feeling calmer, your brain is physically changing. Mindfulness also has a powerful effect on the default mode network, which is basically the part of your brain that turns on when you're not focused on a task. This is the network responsible for mind wandering, overthinking, replaying old conversations, and imagining worst-case scenarios. When this network is overactive, people tend to feel anxious, depressed, or stuck in their heads. Mindfulness helps quiet this network, not by forcing it to shut down, but by teaching you to notice when your mind drifts and gently bring it back. Over time, this reduces rumination. You spend less time trapped in mental loops and more time grounded in what's actually happening right now. Another huge change happens in how your brain processes pain. Both physical and emotional pain activate similar regions in the brain. Mindfulness doesn't magically remove pain, but it changes your relationship to it. Brain scans show that people who practice mindfulness experience less emotional distress in response to pain, even when the physical sensation remains. The brain learns to separate sensation from suffering. This is why mindfulness is increasingly used in treating anxiety, depression, PTSD, and chronic pain. It doesn't suppress emotions or numb you out. Instead, it trains your brain to observe experiences without being overwhelmed by them. You feel emotions more clearly, but they don't control you in the same way. Mindfulness also boosts focus in a world that's constantly trying to steal it. Every notification, every scroll, every tab you open trains your brain to be distracted. Mindfulness does the opposite. It trains sustained attention. Even short daily practices can improve concentration, working memory, and the ability to stay present during tasks. There's also a deep emotional shift that happens. As awareness increases, so does compassion, both for yourself and for others. Brain regions linked to empathy and emotional understanding become more active. You start to notice your inner dialogue more clearly, and that awareness alone often softens self-criticism. Instead of being harsh with yourself, you become more curious and patient. What's important to understand is that mindfulness works through repetition, not intensity. You don't need long sessions or perfect silence. Even a few minutes a day can begin to rewire your brain. Each time you notice your breath, your body, or your thoughts without judgment, you're reinforcing new neural pathways. Over time, those pathways become your default. And here's the part most people miss. Mindfulness doesn't make life problem-free. Stress still happens. Emotions still arise. The difference is that your brain becomes better at handling them. You recover faster. You don't spiral as deeply. You respond instead of react. Think of it like going to the gym, but for your mind. You wouldn't expect one workout to transform your body, but with consistency, everything changes. Strength builds, endurance improves. The same is true for your brain. In a world that constantly pulls your attention outward, mindfulness brings it back home. It reminds your brain that it doesn't have to be in survival mode all the time. And with practice, your brain learns something incredibly powerful. You are not your thoughts, and you don't have to follow every one of them. That awareness alone can change how you experience your entire life.